You saw my kitchen.
Amazing. It was beautiful.
Voila.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I know Instagram Live always kind of has its own thing going on, but I'm so glad that you were able to make it.
Take
Um, yes, and so first, again, thank you for being here. Thank you to the folks who are watching. I'm joined with Council Member Gil Cedillo of District 1, and we are just gonna talk about the issues that matter most to Angelenos. So I'm gonna jump in a little bit on kind of why we're doing this, and then I'll have a bunch of questions for you, Council Member.
I'm here for that.
Great. Okay. So, in case y'all have not joined us before, if you're new here, we are doing this candidate interview series because when Rise Together started, we knew that Los Angeles was in crisis, but that it just doesn't have to be this way. As Angelenos, we can create real, positive, and lasting change in the city that we love. A huge part of that is being involved in local politics. And we have an election this year in 2022. So our goal with these interviews is just to lay the groundwork for civic engagement. So just to give folks the chance to get to know candidates and to allow candidates to get to know our community a little bit. So with that, it is not part of our endorsement process or an indication of support or opposition to any candidates, just a opportunity for us to get to know each other. So with that, I would love to start with the same question I always start with, which is, how does the work of a city councilor affect our everyday lives?
Well, only in the most important ways, because it affects, in the midst of a crisis, as we are in this COVID crisis, it's where the leadership meets the people. And it's the most important part of our day every day, is to figure out how we address the concerns that have been revealed and exacerbated by COVID-19. And we are in a crisis today. We're not the County of Los Angeles, so we're not responsible for the delivery of the health services. But independent of that, because of our leadership, this city and my district, we've led the way in terms of providing the services during COVID. First to work with small businesses, first to provide testing at the levels that we did, first to provide the vaccines at the level that we did. I'm very proud of that. It's a legacy of the mayor as well. It is a legacy of the mayor that is not noted sufficiently, because we don't have one doctor that works for us. We don't have one nurse. We don't have a department or an agency that does these services. We have a committee that's modest with respect to its scope. It's something that I've asked for us to explore, because as we move into areas of, for example, homelessness, we may want to take more control of our destiny and create our own health department, probably focused on public health, probably mental health. But every day, this is what we do. And I'm very proud of our district's response to COVID, because we, in my office, believe in servant leadership, and we immediately transferred all our activities and all our resources to serve our district, one of the lower income districts. We focused our resources on serving that district. And so I have metrics for you. And thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of meals, hot meals that we provided for constituents. I'm proud of the direct services that we provided in terms of the vaccinations, going building to building, going into people's homes. I'm proud of the testing that we've done. I'm proud of our collaboration with all levels of government, federal, state, local, county. I'm proud of the fact that we created a program that subsidized 27 restaurants so that those restaurants could provide these hot meals, and that these hot meals are actually served coming from local restaurants and served in the neighborhood. I'm very proud of my staff in that. I'm proud that everything we do is in multiple languages. And
yes.
I'm proud of the fact that we wrote one of the strongest moratoriums in terms of evictions, and also wrote, after an abundance of anecdotal evidence, also wrote legislation for tenant protection against harassment. We do that, and we do that with less rancor and less fanfare than most. And we do that, and it's something that I admire about your goals and your vision. We do that by bringing everybody to the table. So everything I've said, we've brought all the parties in because we believe we can rise together in Los Angeles. It's an amazing city with incredible resources, location, the intellectual capital,
Yes.
structure, the history. It's one of the most coveted destinations in the world. And so I think that this can be one of the greatest cities in the world. It's a great city, right? The greatest city in the world with the right leadership. And particularly a key to that is bringing people together. And career in politics over the last 50 years has been about bringing people together and about civic engagement, about creating democratic space for everyone to participate. And I've got a record. I think one of the most important things that I like about what you guys say is that it's not so much what we say. At the end of the day, it's going to be what we do and what we've done. And if you want to know what somebody's going to do, pretty much look at what they've done. And I'm proud of a record, and it's long and large. I won't bore you with it right now, but for everything that I've mentioned, we have very specific measures. And we've kind of on the most vulnerable, the most marginalized. So it's our unhoused residents in my district, with the most showers, the most laundry, food, and housed the most. We're number one in affordable housing. We're the only district of 15 that has reduced homelessness by the last count, 4%, while everybody was up 16%. Those recent numbers, we'll see what the latest count tells us. But our commitment is to make sure that we have affordable, accessible housing for everyone. And we've shown that through the fact that we've built thousands of units of affordable and thousands of units of market rate. And we're going to need mix. And we've led the way on that, and I'm proud of what we've done. And for every mention, I have mentioned. Why don't I stop, chat, and listen to you?
Well, I so appreciate you bringing up, housing, especially affordable housing and homelessness, because those are the issues. There was just that survey that came out. There were a ton of articles about it. And Angelina said the two issues that are most important to us are homelessness and housing. So obviously you brought up kind of a lot of things that you've done in the past, and you have a long career of public service and almost a decade here in the city council. So I'd love to hear, what are you excited to continue working on, and what do you want to do differently if elected to another term to make sure that there is actually change for the better?
I want to do more, and I think I want to be more aggressive about it. We began, and this district was last in building permits. This building was last in business permits when we came in. And we changed that immediately. We began by yes. Per your approach, we say yes because everybody's needed in the process of building a community. And so we said yes, and that's why we've emerged as the #1 district for affordable housing development and for market rate development. And the key to our strategy is working with people. So our strategy in many instances is our affordable housing. We do have freestanding buildings of 50 units, 52 units, et cetera. You can go to 6 and Bonnie Bray, where there was an empty lot. Now you'll see something called the California Hotel. Beautiful building, right? You can go to the train stop in Cypress Park and see an incredible building, craftsman style for veterans. But much of our growth and our strategy has been integrating affordable housing within market rate buildings. In many instances, we're able to work with developers to get 20% of housing, that's our new baseline, of affordable in their projects. And obviously it has to pencil out. The city doesn't build housing. We haven't seen much from the feds or the county, but we work with the private sector, and we're able to negotiate and get the type of partnerships with them so that we have, and we've done that to thousands. And I mention that because many of my colleagues aren't even at their first 100 yet. And, you know, we're proud of the fact that we've built thousands of units of affordable housing while we've been there. And so what do we want to do next? We want to take advantage of new legislation, SB 9, SB 10. I broke with my colleague. I supported that. That was signed by the governor. That creates opportunities for us. We're going to reevaluate completely certain restrictions in development and in housing, for example. We will look at the CAS. We've been studying it, looking at it. It's award-winning, but it hasn't produced. And at some point, we're going to have to reassess and redo that. We're going to look at other opportunities that exist in terms of our inventory of properties that exist within the city. But also one of the biggest things is the regulations and how we can work to get this process moving more efficiently, more effectively. Because time is money and we're in a crisis. Everything's real. I think sometimes we can talk about what could be or should be, but the reality is that we have to have that experience that tells you how long it takes and what's involved. And in many instances, sometimes we don't appreciate that the cost of lumber goes up in a crisis. Climate change is so integral to this, right? To what's going on. So if we have fires and the forest burn down, the cost of lumber goes up.
Yeah.
We have supply chain challenges, and we don't have the tools. We don't have nails. We don't have hammers. We have a building in Chinatown where, their elevator hasn't functioned for a long time, but it hasn't functioned because we can't get the parts. And, and we have seniors in this building that are challenged by that. I think the only council member who's a renter. And so I know how that works when you live in an apartment building and your elevator breaks. I know those costs. I know that when we come up with a great scheme for picking up our trash, I know that there's a transfer of costs to the residents. And so, I'm very, very familiar with all of that. And so what we're looking forward to, if my district will elect me one last time, I've been in office since '98, one last time in this area, is to do more and to do it in a way that realizes our vision. And our vision is that everybody deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, that the role of government is to create that public space for people. Everyone in a democratic society should be equal in public space, and we want to create. We've done an extraordinary job with so many projects. We just redid the Wall Las Memorias, a project I've worked on since the early 90s. But we also have our Hoover Triangle. We're going to have our new Parque Lopez. We just did something in Cypress Park. We want to create that public space. We want to do the appropriate regulatory guidance for development in our district to build communities. That's what we're looking for. Rising together.
Yes, I love hearing all that, and especially hearing about, public space and how important it is for us to be in community with one another and have spaces that we can just, exist as a community together. And I've loved all that you've shared, especially about affordable housing. I think that there is obviously a bit of a crisis in Los Angeles in terms of public faith in government. And that is not only because of the, series of indictments, which is kind of the most obvious example, but also just because, folks voted on using their own tax dollars and taxing themselves more to help the homeless. And yet, as you said, it's gone up 16% citywide. And so what would you do? I'm sorry?
Except in our district, don't forget.
Except in your district, yes. I do not want to forget that. But what would you do, especially as an incumbent, a person returning to the council, what would you do to rebuild that trust and make sure people know that you do actually want to change things and you are on their side?
Well, here's the challenge. First of all, it's abhorrent when people violate the public trust. No question about it. But we just can't focus on that. Every my colleagues go to work and do the very best thing every single day to try to be greater. And so it would be great if we had a newspaper that noted those stories, right? As we do our work without fanfare, without a big, hullabaloo, without a lot of notoriety. We placed 326 people, our unhoused residents in our district, and put them in shelter and in housing. Very proud of that. But all the attention was on Echo Park, all the intentions on Venice, all the intentions in other places of the city. I guess that sells. But it would be great if we had leadership in the media that was looking at our positive things, how we build this community, how we build this city, right? I had this conversation today with our Congress member, Jimmy Gomez, who I talk to frequently about, child's tax credit and the earned income tax credit and how we can bring those resources to my district. And I was talking to him about how people view the council. And I think one of the things in general, they view the council poorly. And they look at those and they're abhorrent. On the other hand, though, I think that I feel good about the relationships I have with my constituents. I feel good about going out and seeing my constituents in public, the relationship with them. And so I think, much like my years in the legislature, people have a bad attitude or disposition towards local government, but have a good relationship with their council member.
Yeah.
I know the members I serve with, and I know they have with them. When I'm with them in their districts, there's a lot of pride, there's a lot of engagement. And so I think we just need to focus on that and bring more attention to that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Those are all my questions. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know that things are very busy. So just before we wrap up, I'd love to hand it to you just to say where folks can find you and how they can get involved.
Okay. Well, I usually rely on my younger staff for that part of the.
We can always add it later, but.
We're on every social media that exists. Everything is Gil Cedillo something, gilcedillo.com, Gil Cedillo, whatever. So we're on all the social media. I'm always available for anybody. People are amazed. They say, look, I have an open door policy. I've had it since I was first elected. I see everybody. I meet with everybody. It's the only way that we can rise together by making that we hear from everybody. And, we may not agree with everybody. Okay. The big one, my staff is telling me, Cedillo for council 2022.
Perfect. That's what
catch me for everything. But as I said, we've always had this open door policy because I come from the trade union movement. I'm a trade union. And so many of those values, those skills, those experiences I bring to the legislature, I've brought to the legislature, and they've served me well. So for example, I'm not, I don't believe in polarizing. I believe in bringing people together because as a trade unionist, we had to bring people together to sign a collective bargaining agreement. And so I believe in bringing people together. I have had this open door policy, which means I listen to everyone. And then at the end of the day, we reach the solutions that we reach. Everybody knows that they've been heard. Everybody knows, and trust is a big factor in my career, especially when you're negotiating big contracts, negotiating deals with the governor, negotiating deals in the legislature. Trust is huge, and I've always enjoyed that. And in doing that, it gives people, when they leave, if they don't get exactly what they want, they know they've been heard, and they know they've got the best deal that they can get. And to everybody who's involved, I cannot thank you enough for the tone and the tenor that you're setting for this city. Rise Together is critical for us because it's a great city, but we must all rise together.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And again, I so appreciate your time. And for folks who, only caught part of this, it's going to go up on our YouTube and it will be on our Instagram as well. So thank you again and have a great night.
Don't forget, Gil Cedillo for City Council 2022. It's going to be your last chance to vote for me for City Council or vote for me for anything. So
Great. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for serving the community.
Thank you, and I appreciate it all that you do. Okay.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.